Hello. This week's on the 80s version of the Twilight Zone. We get to see Welcome to Winfield and Quarantine. So, Welcome to Winfield is all about avoiding death, and it starts with a white car. Now, I thought that this was it's not just an iconic car and look, but there's a biblical reference here, and it's the pale horse, and the rider upon which is death. So, of course, he has a white car because it's the pale horse, right? Gary Graham, who plays Death, well, an agent of Death. He isn't actually Death. He was in Star Trek. He was in Babylon 5. Like, he's been around. He's done a bunch of cool stuff. I wonder about people who are over 100 years old and how they know what a flat tire is. That they can just spot that there's, that this is a flat tire. Like that stood out to me. And then that they replace it with the hokey sort of wooden wheel. I don't think a wooden wheel would be able to take the weight of the car either, especially not a wheel that small. Elisha Cook Jr., who plays the little drunkard, he's a character actor. He's been around a lot. He played in Alf. No one remembers Alf anymore, but he was in Alf. The agent, of course, has a car phone, which was very novel in 1986. And the fact that he has one sort of shows off how cool he is. And the car handles really well on its wooden wheel. I'm guessing it's because the car isn't quite mundane, but it's quite special. And would have handled without a wheel too, I'm guessing. This is a cat, by the way. That's a tail. But when the car approaches, when it comes back into Winfield, you can tell that the front tire is very wide if you look. I think that's just a normal tire, not the wagon wheel at all. Henry Gibson, who plays the mayor, he was like on Sabrina, Teenage Witch. He was also the head Nazi in the Blues Brothers. He also has a long and varied career. I like when the sky starts throwing lightning around. It's a very lovely looking effect. It's just that they cut out the sky and replaced it with this lovely matte painting and then put some effects on it. It's very effective. And then you have a green screen when he drives away, so you can see the people receding in the background. And then when the car takes off, there's some more green screening. And it's not terribly well done, but it works out fine. Then we get into Quarantine. Now, Quarantine is about this concept where a person who is terminally ill can get frozen, cryogenically preserved, until such time when the disease they're dying from can be cured. It hasn't worked so far, but we do have another year or so, as he was frozen in 2023. And then the war happens in 2043. Now, Scott Wilson, who plays the man in question, age him a bunch of years, and you find Herschel from The Walking Dead. He's aged fantastically, I think. This is an unproduced movie script. Originally, it just wouldn't be picked up, so they got it adapted, and it has a different ending in that script. I think this one works though. When they do the psychic surgery thing, when they stick the hand in, I like the effect. They've done a nice cut. There's a bit of blur. There's a bit of perspective that lets us not see the actual sort of hard glass plate line where the hand goes in. It works out quite well. It's a good effect, I think. The effect of the Fireflies in the lamp is very similar to the one in Monsters, but in Monsters they were in the background. Now they're in the foreground, which means you don't have to mask around people like we talked about in that episode. He has a light pen when he's working on the computer. Now this was very high tech back in 86, that you had this sort of stylus. You could indicate points on a screen. I remember that these were around, but they're all pretty much gone now. The society that shuns technology and uses psychic abilities reminded me a lot of an Arthur C. Clarke novel called Second Dawn, in which a species have evolved to a point where they can use telepathic weapons of mass destruction as they are discovering radioactive isotopes. So they haven't used plutonium or anything like that to make nuclear weapons. Instead, they've harnessed their minds to do it instead. It's very scary. Telepaths don't care very much about consent. They obviously try to fool him, and when he says that he doesn't deserve it, I don't want it, she just goes up and does the thing anyway. Obviously they know best, right? It's a bit grating to see. The idea of the worst people of the earth leaving on a spaceship and then coming back and not having aged is feasible, because you can just use the time dilation effect to do that. You can just leave, accelerate towards the speed of light, at which point time will slow from your frame of reference. You can then turn around and accelerate back. And during the time of acceleration, essentially, you can make time not be quite as long. So a few hundred years would be a few months or maybe a year. That isn't entirely impossible, but it's a cool idea, and then they get shot down because they are the bad people. Next week, we are going to see Grandma and some personal demons and a cold reading. And I look forward to seeing you then. Take care now.